What is up everybody, my name is Awais. Welcome to another video on the channel. Today we're going to be building a Notepad application in Java. Let me show you the functionality of the application we're going to build in this video. So in the Notepad application I have file menu which has 4 functions: a new, open, save and exit. So let's say if I click on open, it's going to ask me to open any file I can open. Let's say if I open this file and here. And next menu we have edit menu, which has 3 functions: cut, copy, paste. So we can cut, copy, paste in our Notepad application. And then I have a search function here. So let's say if I type hello and click on search, it's going to highlight the hello word in Notepad. So this is the functionality we're going to add in our Notepad application. We're going to be using Java. So I'll try to cover this in 1 hour. So if you want to know how to build Notepad application in Java, follow along with this course. And before we start, I want to say if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please consider subscribing. And if you like the video, smash that like button. Alright, so that being said, let's get started. Alright guys, so we're going to start building a Notepad application now. And the IDE we're going to be using is a Netbeans. But if you don't have Netbeans and you use Eclipse, IntelliJ IDEA or BlueJ or any other IDE, that should be fine because you're gonna have that swing containers and all that stuff. So we're gonna use Netbeans IDE. If you want to install Netbeans IDE with JDK, I have another tutorial for that. I'll drop a link in the description. So check it out if you want to know how to install Netbeans with JDK. Alright, so let's create a new project now, and we are going to create a new project by clicking here, but you can go to file menu and click on new project. Let's select Java as a category and Java application as a project. Click on next, and now let's name our project. So I'm going to name it text editor, and make sure you select create a main class. So now let's click on finish. Netbeans is going to build our project, and we have 1 Java file in our project. I'm just going to get rid of these comments. Alright, so now we have 1 class which has a main method. Now we're going to create a new class. So let's go to our source package, right click and click on JFrame form. Now let's name it text editor GUI. And let's click on finish. Now we have a second Java file which has a text editor GUI, and now you can see that you have a palette on the right where you have a swing container, swing controls, swing menus, and you have some option here like properties, binding event codes, and then on the left you have a project browser which has all the files available in your project, and then down here we have JFrame hierarchy. So first thing what I want to do is I'm just going to go to code and I'm going to change the designer size. I can change it here, or I can go to the properties. I'm just going to show you here. If I right click here and go to the properties, it's going to pop out the same kind of window where I have the properties, binding events and code. So let's close this now. Now we have a JFrame here. Let's go back to texteditor.java in our main method, and we're going to add that. So to create an object for that, let's create text editor GUI. I'm going to name it obj is equal to new text editor GUI. Alright. There's an error here which says create a class for that. So let's go back to text editor GUI. You click on source, and then here you see the package. I'm just going to get rid of this, and I'm just going to add the package. So for that, let's go back here and then check package text editor. So I'm just going to name that on the top, package text editor. Right, and then it should remove the error now. Now it should remove the error. It didn't remove because we misspelled it. So text editor GUI. Now we should see no errors. So text editor GUI. Yep, that's fine. And still have an error because we misspelled it. Alright, so no errors now. Now let's set the bounds for that. So type obj, which is our text editor GUI object, set bounds, and the first 0 is your starting point for x value, so I'm going to leave that 0, y value 0, and then give it 700 height and width. Alright, now let's set title for our application. I'm going to name it Notepad, and let's set visibility, make it true, obj set resizable, I'm gonna false, so I don't want anyone to resize my application, obj, and then set a default operation on close. So type here jframe dot exit on close. So what it does, once you close an application in NetBeans, it's gonna stop running that application as well. So let's build our project. One thing, I just want to move this line down actually, so I'm gonna cut it and let's paste it here. Alright, so let's build our project. You can build project by going to the run menu and click on build. Shortcut key is F11, you can see that, and you have one button here to build the project. So we're going to click on this hammer icon and it should build our project. Now let's run it and we should see Notepad JFrame, right? We have a title on top, we have 700 by 700 size for that. Now we're going to add some graphical stuff here. So there's an error here on the top. Move to the correct folder. It should be fine now. Now we have 2 files in text editor package. Now the error will go away. Now we have a source code where we have all the source code here. We can use the design menu to build our user interface. Alright, so the first thing we're going to add is a menu bar. So select the menu bar and drop that on the top here, and then we're going to add a panel. So that's a J panel. I'm actually going to drop that somewhere here. Alright, so in the panel now we can add a button. So I'm just going to right click, add controls, select the button there. So let's just drop that somewhere here. Okay, and now let's add a text field. So let's add a text field there. I'm going to drop that here and let's just increase the size somewhere here. Okay, so let me just increase that this side as well. Alright, so actually we could actually leave that there. Alright, so we have a text field, we have a button, we have a menu on the top. Now let's add a text area. Select the text area from the swing controls and let's just drop them somewhere here. Alright, so let's run the program now and let's see what we have. I'm just gonna drag this somewhere here in the middle. Okay, so let's just build a project. To build a project, click on this hammer button. I'm gonna clean and build, and then let's run the project, and we should see Notepad application. We have a text field here. I can type a text now. We have a J button and we have a file menu and edit menu. Let's close that, and now we're gonna add some menu items. So here in the swing menu, select that and let's just drop that into the file menu. Alright, so now on the left in the navigation panel, you can see that we have a J menu 1 in the menu bar. Okay, so now let's just right click here, copy that and select your file menu and then paste it 1, 2, 3, 4 times. Okay, so we have 4 menus there, and then I can just select the second menu and then paste 1, 2, 3, cut, copy, paste there as well. Okay, so we have 3 menus in edit and then 4 menus here. So this is going to be new, open, save and close. That's going to be cut, copy, paste. Now we're gonna change a variable names so we could remember them by using them. Alright, so we're gonna change the member name and a text as well. The first thing, let's get rid of field and then edit text. Let's get rid of that text, right? And then we are going to change the variable for that. So I'm gonna name it search field. Okay, we have changed the variable name. In the text area, I'm going to change the variable to text area. All right, And then with the J button, select that, right click, and then click on edit text. You could actually double click there as well. It's going to create action perform method first, but now if I double click, nope, it's not working. So we actually right click there and then click on edit text, and I'm going to name it search. Let's change the variable as well. So I'm going to say search button. Alright, so now with the menus, right click, edit, change variable, so new file, right click again, edit text. Oops, we can't do that, so let's edit text, still an error. So let's select that here and double click on that. It's going to create our action performed again. So right click, edit text, and then new, right click, edit text. So this is going to be open. Next we have save. Next we have edit exit. Oops, I've actually dropped that on top, so let's just bring it down and exit. Okay, so we have two menus. We have changed the variable for the new file, so I'm going to change the variable for save. So save file. We need to change the variable for open file as well. I think I misspelled that, so open file and exit. Let's just name that exit, that's fine. Next we have a cut copy paste, so I'm just gonna cut text, copy text, right click and change variable, paste text. Now let's change the text as well there, so I'm just gonna right click here. Oops, that's not what I wanted. Nope, I need to select this menu and then double click. It worked this time. So now that's going to be cut command and copy. Next one is paste. Alright, so our GUI is done. One more time, run the application and let's see what we have. We have a Notepad application. If I click on file menu, I have four actually options: new, file, save, exit. They're actually not doing anything right now, but we will make some functionality for them. Alright, so let's go back to source code now. So here we have a lot of code for our JFrame. You can't edit the code here, unfortunately. And I'm gonna close this by clicking the button, and then we have action performed button, action from for new file. So to create that, you could do basically, let's say if you want to create an action perform for new file, right click, you can go to events, action, action perform, or if you just double click on that, it will create that automatically. So we have a open, and let's go back to design. I like to double click on that. It will create a function or method for us for search button action, new file, open file, save file, and let's create an exit as well. So we have 4 here. Then we will create cut copy paste later. So let's just make them work first, and then we will create cut copy paste. So for the new file, it's very simple. First of all, let's add a string variable on the top. So I'm gonna name it file name, right? Create a method for new file. Well, it's fairly simple. What I want to do is if I have a text in the text JFrame text area, so I just want to remove that. So type text area dot set text, okay, and let's just empty string. Then we can set title to file name. Okay, let's save the project and let's run the project one more time. And then if I have a lot of text here, right, and if I go to file menu and you click on new, it's going to remove that file. Now let's create open action performed methods. Let's go to source code, and here we have open file action performed. So let's just get rid of this code. Let me just quickly explain what are these methods. Basically, these actions or these method will be called when someone or I click on this open menu, right? So if I click on the search button, it will call this search button action performed. So whatever the code we have in this method, it will be executed. So I hope you understood what I mean. And in the open file functions, we are going to use a class, which is file dialog. And actually misspelled it, so that's dialog. It's a part of the Java Editor, and you can see the information on the right as well. So this FileReader class displays a dialog window from which the user can select the file. So any application in anywhere, or whether it's a Mac or computer, whenever you want to open an application, there's a dialog window will open, and then over there you can browse for your files, right? So that's what it's going to do for us. Now I'm going to name it file dialog is equal to new file dialog, and here inside that I'm going to use text editor GUI. This is our class name, and dot this. Alright, and then add a comma and then give a title. So let's give a title open file, and then add a comma, and now we're gonna call a method which is file dialog dot load. So let's file dialog dot load. So if I just pause, I'll just explain that. So on the right you can see that a bit of documentation there for the load method. So what it does, this constant value indicates that the purpose of this file doc window is to locate a file from which to read. Okay, so let's select that and then add a semicolon. Let's go to the next line now, and we're going to make that window visible. So we can say file dialog dot set visible, and here make it true. All right, next line we are going to add a condition here. So if file dialog dot get file, so whatever the file we get is not null, so let's null, then execute this code. Alright, so I'm just gonna bring it down. Alright, so here we're going to use that file name string variable. We're gonna make that is equal to file dialog dot get directory, and then file dialog, there's another method get file. Okay, so this is what you're gonna add. So get directory method, if you go to the documentation you will see, if I right click and quick documentation. Alright, so this is what you add, and then let's set the title as well, and we just make the title as a file name. Now to read the file, we're going to use a class named a Bufferreader. So for that, I'm going to get out from the if statement, and here we are going to use the try and catch block. Right, so we have a try and catch block. In a try and catch block, I'm going to use a Bufferreader class, and let's name it a reader is equal to new Bufferreader class. I'll let you read the information here as well. So it basically read the text from character input stream. So you go to the documentation, you will find all the information you need for this class. So we can add another class here, which is a FileReader class, which create a file reader and given the file read from. So this is what you need to use. Right, so here, and then with the name, we can just name it a file name. Okay, that's what we're gonna whatever the file name we get from this dialog window, we're gonna use that to read. Okay, so let's come down, and then we need to add a string builder. That's build a string, and then we're gonna name it as b is equal to new string builder And next we are going to make another variable. So let's just type string, let's name it line is equal to null. We're going to initialize it with a null for now. Now we need to use a while loop. So while, and in that I'm going to check a line is equal to reader.read line. So we're using this reader object, which is a Bufferreader object, and we are passing that method readLine, which basically read lines from the text file. And I'm going to check it's not null. The file is not null. So, and then run this code. So in the while loop, now we are going to use our SB, which is a string builder. I'm going to use append method, and here we're going to pass in a line object, right? And then plus double quotation backslash n. This is an escape sequence. This is called escape sequence in Java. So you need to use that because once you read a line from a file and then it goes to the escape sequence. So this basically, let me just give you a documentation. What it does basically, it reads a line. Whenever it sees that escape sequence, it will stop the loop. So that's why we have to add that here. So on the next line, we are going to use our text field. So it was text field area. This is a variable what we created, dot set text. So we need to set the text. Oops, I made a mistake here. So set text, and here we were going to pass in sb dot toString. All right, so we're going to use the string builder, and then we're going to pass in as a toString. So it's going to convert that to toString. Now on the next line, go to, actually you need to get out from the loop now, and we need to close the Bufferreader object now. So reader dot close, right? And in the exception, let's catch IO exception instead of generic caption. And in that, I'm just, if that happens, then I'm gonna pass in this message, file not found. All right, so we have finished our open file function, a method. Now let's try this. But before, let's run this actually. So let's see if it's working. So we have this class, and I'm going to try opening. So if I click on open, it's going to give me this window, and I have one text file here. So I'm just going to double click, and voila, it's reading the file. It's actually working, so it's all good. Now let's create a save file function. It's going to be the pretty much same thing, right? It's not going to be very hard. So let's just minimize this, and then let's go to save action performed. Let's get rid of these comments. And here we are going to use the same class FileDollar because we need to open that window to save the file and name our file. So name it FileDollar. This is a private method, so it doesn't really matter. It's gonna stay here. So let's make a new object with the file dialog, and in that we are going to pass in text, which is our class text editor GUI dot this, and then add a comma and then name it. So I'm gonna name it save file, and then add a comma. And now this time, instead of using the load function, we are going to use the save function. This is a save function for FileDollar class. It basically saves the file. All right, so in the next line, we're going to make sure that we set it visible. Dot set visible, make it true. Let's come down. Now we're gonna use if statement again. And in the if statement, we're gonna check that if file dialog dot get file, the same method we use to open the file, not null, then run this code. So in that, we're gonna use the file name as our file name is equal to file dialog dot get directory plus that's a concatenation operator, so get file, we choose file dialog the object, and then we can pass the method. So get file, done, and then we're gonna set the title for our file, so set title and leave that as a file name. Let's get out from the if statement. Now we're gonna use a try and catch block again. Okay, come on, give me. Okay, let's try it this time. Yeah, it's now we have a try and catch block, and in the try and catch block we are going to use a class named FileWriter. So let's create an object from FileWriter class. Okay, so you can see the information. Basically it writes a character to the file, so FileWriter, and let's name it I'll just output, or maybe it write, or just FileWriter, it's fine. And then new file, FileWriter, and inside that we're passing the our string variable name, which is the file name. That's when we open that, or we can open this window and then we use that same variable name there. Next we are going to use that the FileWriter object dot, there's a method named write, and in that method we are going to use our text area. So we're gonna take the text from the text area, whatever the text we have in the text area, so text area dot get text method. All right, next we are going to use, we're going to actually close that. So output, maybe just set the title first, set title for files and leave that file name, and then we are going to close that FileWriter object. So FileWriter dot close, right? And in here we're gonna add exception, which is going to be IO exception, and then if it happens, then just file not found. All right, now we have this method how to save the file. Now let's run it and let's see if we are able to save a file and then reopen the file. So I'm going to hello world, how are we? Actually, happy new year, happy new year. Okay, let's click here and then click on save, and I'm going to name it happy new year .txt. all right, so let's create a new file there, and then we are gonna try opening that file. So let's just happy new year. Wow, it's actually opening the file. We were successfully able to save that file. Now what else we have? We have done the open function, save method, then we have exits. Exits, very simple, just the one line of code, which is system.exit passing 0, done. All right, so we have done our basic file open save. Let's go to the design, and here I'm going to click on edit menu and double click on cut to create action performed for cut, and double click on copy to create copy action performed, double click on paste to create and paste text action performed. Right, so let's create a cut first. Just get rid of this comment, and here we are going to type string, and I'm going to name it cut. All right, cut string is equal to text area, okay, dot get selected text. All right, there's a method on. So we create a new object, string, cut string, we named it, and text area, what is the text we have from the text area dot get selected text. All right, and on the next we're gonna create another string variable, and this is going to be string selection. All right, and we're gonna name it cut selection is equal to new string selection. That's another class, and we're gonna pass in our string, which is cu string. Actually, I'm actually going to change the name because it's supposed to be cut string. Oops. And then here we need to add t here as well to get rid of the error and add a semicolon. All right, so next line we are going to use the clipboard class. I'm actually going to, because I'm going to be using that from in cut text action performed and copy text action performed and paste text action performed. So why not we can actually create that on the top. So we can just create an object on top. So for that we are going to type clipboard. So that's clip. All right, and let's name it as clipboard as well. Is equal to get toolkit. All right, so let me just read you to this information. So it gets the toolkit of this component for it to use on the frame, right? So let's get that dot get system clipboard. Right, so this is another, so we have created an object for a clipboard named clipboard. Let's go back to cut, and here we are going to use that object. So type clipboard dot, there's a method named replace range, and in that, well, just one thing, we need to actually clipboard dot set contents, right? So cut selection's fine, and yep, because we're using that string selection, so whatever we selected from start to end, that's when we're gonna select, we're gonna add that to clipboard. Next line, use that clipboard actually text area now, text area dot replace. So once we cut that, and then we copy that to our clipboard, and then we're going to paste it, right? So to paste that, we are going to use the paste function, of course, but here we need to save that to clipboard. So text area replace range. So here it replaces the text from the indicated start to end position with the new text specified. So we actually specified our start and end position on top. So replace range, and on that we are going to leave that empty, okay? And a width actually. So this is the our starting point and ending point for selection, what we're gonna say. So for that, let's add text area, okay, dot get selection start. So we have another method selection start, and then in the next one, same text area dot get selection end. Okay, done. This is what you have to do. Let's run the program and let's see if it works. Let me just type some code text here. I'm gonna select it and then just going to cut that. Yep, it's working. It's fine. Alright, so now we need to add a paste function. So whatever we saved on the clipboard, we're gonna add that to back to the text where we want it. So for that, let's go to the paste one. We use the copy one in a second, but so in that we're going to use a try and catch block again, and in the try we are going to use another class called transferable. So transferable, that's on a class part of data transfer, and let's name it paste text. text, okay, is equal to, we're gonna paste that from the clipboard, so use that clipboard object now, dot get content, and here we're going to use text Editor GUI, whatever our class name is. So that's when what happens, right? When we use the cut method to cut the text, and it's gonna save that to a Java file, right? So we're gonna use that dot this, and then we are going to add string, and in that string I'm going to name it, let's say, well, so is equal to, we are going to initialize it with this string, and then paste text, whatever the object we created, paste text dot get transfer data. That's another method, and in that we are going to use a data flavor and image flavor. So just leave that as whatever it is. Actually, we can change that to string flavor actually. So we don't have any images in Notepad application, so that's why I'm gonna name it string. If we had any images, so we could use that image flavor. So next line, we're going to use text area dot replace range again, and leave that cell object there, whatever the cell object there, and then in the width you can add same thing, whatever it was in the cut. So text area dot get selected, selection start actually, so I'm going to change it to start. Yep, and then get selection end. Okay, we need to change that to capital S, so it's working now. It's giving me an error here. Yep, the error is we need to use where it should get the end selection. So text area dot get selection end. Now it should not give us any error. And in the exception, I am going to, well, just pass in as out, and didn't work. Okay. Whatever. Okay, so that's done. Now let's just add the copy code as well. That's going to be fairly simple actually. So let's add string variable, and I'm going to name it copy text is equal to text area dot get selected text, whatever it's on the clipboard. So next line we are going to use string selection. We need to select that. So string selection, and in that I'm gonna name it copy selection. It's fine, is equal to new string selection, and then here we're gonna pass in copy text object. So whatever the object we had, whatever the selected object, so we had a copy text, we'll pass in that here. Then in the next line we are going to use that clipboard class. So we're going to save that copy text into the clipboard, of course, right? So we're going to use clipboard dot set contents. So the content would be copy selection and copy selection. That's fine. So this is the content, this is the object name. I'm going to check the spelling, that's fine. All right, it's working perfectly fine now, and let's just try the program now. Let's just run it and let's see. So I'm gonna name it hello world what's going on, and let's just copy this, and I'm gonna bring my cursor down, and let's just paste it there. Yep, it's working, copy working. Let's just select that and then cut it and then paste that again. It's working. Alright, so our functions are working now. File menu is working 100%. Edit menu working 100%. The last thing we're going to add is the search functionality, which is a bit of advanced topic, but I'll try my best to explain that, because so far we've done is like pretty basic stuff. All we did is use the classes, the clipboard class and string selection class and transferable class. They're fairly simple, and then we just made their objects and then used some methods. So it's pretty simple. But for the search, let's go back to design and then double click on the search button. It will take us to the search button. Action perform, actually, oops, what I've done. So that method is right on the top there. Now here we have a variable name, search button variable name. Okay, so actually I'm not gonna write that anything here. We need to create a class here. So let's just make some space here and let's create a new class. Well, how search function will work is basically when you type a word in a text field, it's going to search that in a text area. So it's going to highlight that. So to highlight the search, we need to use the highlighter class. So let's create a class here, and I'm going to name it my highlighter. And then we're gonna extend this to default ULT. The name was, I think, maybe highlighter, I'm not sure. Highlighter, yep. Default highlighter dot default highlighter painter. Alright, so we create a class, add a constructor for that. We need the constructor. So now outside the class, create another object. Let's use highlighter. I'm very confused about the spelling. I think it's oops, HIGHLIGH highlighter dot default, actually highlighter painter. Let me just read it. Yep, it's a renderer. That's fine. And then name it highlighter and new my highlighter from the constructor from that class. And let's just leave the color to yellow. That's fine. Now we're gonna add a method. So the method is going to be, which is going to be search the text from the text area. So let's just add public void. I'm gonna name it search text area, and in that we're gonna pass in a few parameters. So I'm gonna set jtext component. Okay, then we're gonna name it text comp, and then add another string and then text string. Okay, so these two parameters in this. I'm just bring that down. We forgot to close that with the parentheses, actually curly braces, not parentheses. So in that we're gonna use a try and catch block again. Try and catch block. So in a try catch block, I'm going to use highlighter and let's say highlight is equal to text comp dot get highlighter. I'll just write the code first and then I'll explain that. So what happening here is that we create a new highlighter object, name it highlight. We're using that parameter text comp, and then we're passing in that method get highlighter. So let's go to the next one now, next line. And here we're gonna use another class, which is a document class. We still have an error. Let me just figure out what is the error. So we need to add the importer for highlighter actually. Okay, it's went away. So let's use a document class and then name it doc, and then let's use that same textComp.getDocument method. Alright, and then add a string, name it text. Yep, that's fine. And I use the doc object, whatever the document object, dot get text. Okay, and it's giving us error. Let me just finish the code. So length get okay. We actually need to import the document class, that's why. Alright, so that's the code, guys. So string text, we use that document object which has this textComp.getDocument, and then we use the getText method which we pass in this document.length. Okay, so that's done. Let's create another variable. We'll name it pause is equal to 0, and then we're gonna use the while loop now. So while I'm going to check pause is equal to text, and let's check the uppercase. Okay, and then dot index of, and here passing that text string, what the parameter we pass in there, so to uppercase again, and let's get out, and that we are going to check whether it's greater than 0. Alright, so now here there's one more thing here we forgot actually. So here, let's comma, we're gonna pass in that pause variable as well, and let's check if it's greater than equal to, not greater than equal to. Use that highlight that object and add highlighter, pause, it's fine, and then pause, we're gonna add pause plus text string dot length, and let's just add highlighter, leave that there wherever it is. Oops. Okay, then use that pause variable and initialize it with text string dot length. Okay, and then in the catch, don't worry about anything, and let's just try this if it's working, and then after that we're gonna add another method here which is going to be, let's just add that void, we're gonna name it remove highlighter HIGH, and then here we pass in JText component again, let's name it text comp, and let's just create that. Okay, let's just create that now. So let's use the highlighter object, so highlighter, use the remove, I'm gonna name it remove highlighter, okay, and is equal to text comp, whatever the object we have in it, the parameter we have there, then get highlighter, same method. Next line, we are going to use that highlighter object dot highlight, make an array here, and then type remove for an object is equal to remove highlighter dot get highlight. Okay, so now I'm just gonna add a for loop here, so we're gonna check for int I is equal to 0 and I less than remove length dot length. So we're checking that the length we have for the highlighter, it should go all the way there. So Awais ++. And in the for loop, now check the if statement. So if remove dot get painter class instance of my highlighter, okay? And then in the if statement, there's an error here. Let me just see what this is. We need to add import for get painter. So there. Focus listener actually. So let's just write that first. So remove highlighter and dot remove highlight, and for the object name just remove and initiate with the I object. All right, let's get out from the if statement now, and in the for loop now it should be fine. Okay, we had to close that actually. So alright, so if remove, it's the get painter class, there's an okay, yep, that's actually fine. We need to actually add parentheses here. No, still an error. Not sure why it's giving me an error, because we probably need to import a few things. So let me just try this one. 1 second guys, I actually find out the error. So we need to initialize if remove I, okay? Now it went away, so I missed the I there. Alright, so now let's finally clean build the project one more time, and let's see if it's working or not. Hopefully it will work, and let's just run it now. Okay, so I've already shown you guys that the new OpenSave file exit working, cut copy paste working as well. Hello world, happy new year. Alright, so let's let's search for word, and then I'm going to click on this. Oops, it's not actually working. So let's just find out what else we can do. We actually didn't add any. Let's go back to design. Actually, we didn't add anything in the button perform, so that is why we need to add that. We need to use the method there, so we need to call that method actually. So search, let me just read the method name one more time. So search text area, okay? So search text area. Text area is fine, a file name. Okay, so in the file name, we are going to use the search text field. We're getting from the text, we're actually getting text from the search text field. So search field, get text. All right, and now this last thing what we need to add here. I need to add something here. Actually, we need to add this remove highlight function here, because when we call that function here, then it should remove the previous text. So let's just call that remove highlight. Okay, so that's a function here, and yep, should be fine now. Now let's run the application again, and let's see if we can. Hello world, happy new year. And here we're gonna search for world. Should work. Oops, That's great. So it's working, guys. Now, happy. Yep, it's removing the previous highlight as well. Okay, so Notepad application is 100% working. And thanks for watching, guys. If you have any questions about this tutorial, let me know in the comments below. And if you want the source code for this this application, let me know in the comments below as well. I actually dropped that source code on my website and you guys can download it. You can find the link in the description. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe, and I'll be back with another video. So thank you so much. Stay tuned, and I'll talk to you guys in the next video. Cheers.